Happy Tuesday afternoon, and oh my goodness, happy end of March. I don't know how that happened that we are already in April. And quite frankly, when I sat down to put this talk together, I don't think I even connected that we would be heading into Easter weekend. But there is, as there always is when I share a word of encouragement, something that I think God really impressed upon my heart in my own journey, in my own life, even over the last couple of weeks, that Easter weekend really invites us as writers to enter something sacred, not just celebration, but a pause where we're not focused on hustling or producing or proving, but pausing long enough to remember that you or I, we're not the ones that are carrying the weight of our calling. God is. Let me say that one more time. We are not the ones carrying the weight of our calling. God is. And I will be the first to admit that there are definitely seasons where the words don't come easily, when the message feels too important, so we just don't want to get it wrong, or when the story feels too sacred to mishandle, or when the silence on the page feels louder than any affirmation or word of encouragement. And if we're honest, I think sometimes it feels like it's all up to us to make it meaningful, to make it impactful, to make it matter. But Easter really invites us to lay that striving down, because God's most powerful work often happens in places that look like endings. A cross, a sealed tomb, silence. And yet, he was fighting in the middle of it. Before there was a resurrection, there was stillness. Before victory was visible, it was already secured. And this is the invitation, I think, for us as writers, not to stop, but to stop, not to stop writing, but rather to stop carrying what was never ours to hold in the first place. You are called, as we've talked before, to show up, to be faithful, to tell the truth that God has entrusted you, but you are not called to force the outcome, to control the reception, or strive for significance. Because while you are writing, God is working. He is. And while you're wondering if you and it and all that striving is enough, God is fighting for an impact that you can't see. I remember years ago where Easter became different in the way my heart approached it. I was fresh off a season of loss after loss after loss, and I was very much stuck in between the loss I'd experienced and the promise of hope. And so for that time period, I remember really wrestling through something that I think we're starting to give more credence to the more we talk about Easter weekend. But I realized I was stuck in the Saturday. I was missing my grandfather, my grandmother, my life as I knew it. I was missing, and I felt the sting of death. And I knew there was hope coming. I knew it. But as I sang the words, "O death, where is your sting?" they didn't feel like they were for me. But what I've come to understand is they absolutely were. Because it was in that Saturday, in where it all felt lost and it all felt broken beyond repair, that God was claiming the victory. And as much as I couldn't see it, I could trust him with it. So how does that apply to us as writers? Well, I think it applies to us as writers in this way. When we don't see anything happening, we can start to get antsy that God's really in charge and he's really in control. Where we see no movement, no miracle, no visible hope, and yet it is in those spaces on that Saturday where the battle was won. Writers, you may be in a holy Saturday season, and you may be feeling a little untethered and a little lost. The manuscript may be finished, but the doors aren't opening. The words are written, but no one seems to notice. The calling is clear, but the path is not. And in those moments, everything in you, everything in us, in our humanity, we just want to push harder and push harder and push harder. But Easter begs us to whisper. And actually, it whispers a different rhythm to us. Pause, trust, let God fight for you. The message that you have been given, the one that feels yours alone, didn't originate with you. And it will not be sustained by you alone. The same God who rolled away the stone, who defeated death, who brought life where there was none, who, after Saturday of his disciples wondering if all of it was a lie, Resurrection Day was coming. Hope was coming. You are not writing to earn his presence. You are writing in his presence. So this weekend, I want you to do something for me. I want to invite you into something that is countercultural for us as writers. Just is. So not more words, more rest. Not more strategy, more surrender. Not more striving, more silence. Let this be the starting point where you step away from the pressure to produce. You release the timeline that you're holding on so incredibly tightly to, that you lay your words, that you lay your manuscript, that you lay your message at the feet of Jesus and simply say, Lord, you are fighting for me. I will be still. Have a blessed Easter, my friends, and know that my prayer for you is that you will know fully the grace of a good God who lovingly took us through Good Friday, through Silent Saturday, into Resurrection Sunday, because he knew we would need all three. I will see you next time and next week. Just a reminder, no fun filter this Friday, but we'll see you next week with an all new schedule. Take care, my friends.